YouTube, my name is Natalie. I'm a criminal defense attorney, and I'm going to be reacting to and breaking down the case of Officer Ronald Krzaya of Tempe Police Department. On August 29th, 2020, Tempe Police Department received a phone call about an armed suspect inside of the Hawthorne Suites in Tempe, Arizona. As you can see, when Officer Krzaya arrives to the scene, he is alone and he enters the hotel and there's no one in the lobby.
Hey, sir, how we doing?
What's going on for issue? Some guy just pulled a gun out on us.
41. I've got a 417 George.
When the manager in the red shirt comes out, he tells the officer that some guy just pulled a gun on us.
Sure, I'm going to need some additional evidence. Manager is advising this male subject here just pulled a firearm on him. What room number and what's the description? What info do you have on this individual? Where is he now?
Officer Krzaya requests the information on the individual.
What do you have on this individual? Where is he now?
The manager informs Officer Krzaya that the individual is wearing a black shirt.
What is it? Which room number? White male, black male, what do we got?
The manager informs the officer that the individual that they're seeking is in the hallway.
Is he a white male, a black male? Come on. White male, he's going to be wearing a black shirt, tan pants.
He's going to be coming down the...
Officer Krzaya hears that the manager tells him that it is a white male with a black shirt and tan pants coming down the hallway. Officer Krzaya then radios back to dispatch that it is a white male with a black shirt and tan pants coming down the hallway.
Staircase and exit out that door right there.
10-4. He's probably going to be poking out on the west exit.
Officer Krzaya then leaves the lobby in order to walk outside and go to the exit where he believes that the suspect will be coming from, and then radios to dispatch where the suspect would be coming from, which exit.
He's walking out now.
From the surveillance footage, the manager tells Officer Krzaya that the suspect is walking out right now.
Get inside now.
Officer Krzaya at this point pulls his gun. He pulls his gun because there is a report of someone that has pulled a gun or drawn a gun on civilians. So he has to respond to the incident with heightened alert. He sees two white individuals outside, one in a red shirt with basketball pants, and tells them to go inside.
Get out of here now.
Officer Krzaya has now approached the west-facing exit, awaiting the suspect to leave through the door.
41, I'm going to hold on that exit.
Officer Krzaya then radios to dispatch with his call number, which is 41, that he's going to be waiting at the exit. He's going to be the one holding the exit where the suspect should be coming from.
Responding units, if you're coming up Price, I want you to come in that entrance and hold.
Officer Krzaya has now called out to the responding units. That means his backup that's going to be coming, directing them which area that they should be coming to. So Officer Krzaya is in a heightened state because he is awaiting a suspect that potentially has a gun. So far, so good.
Gunpoint. Step out.
I work here.
You work here?
I was keeping the door closed, man.
Okay.
A black male has now exited through the exit that Officer Keziah was surveilling. It's a black man with black pants and looks like a white or a gray shirt. Officer Keziah immediately tells him to step out with his hands up, and the individual informs him in his uniform that he works there at the hotel.
Turn around.
I work here.
That's fine.
Come on, man, you don't gotta
Step
put
this
your
way.
hand in me. I got
Hey,
my
listen to me. Listen. Okay?
I got my hand.
I am responding to somebody with a firearm who matches your description. You understand that? Come here.
And this is where Officer Keziah has run into trouble. This individual does not match the description that Officer Keziah was initially given. Let's go back there.
Is he a white male, a black male? Come on. White male. He's going to be wearing a black shirt, tan pants.
White male, black shirt, tan pants. That's the description that Officer Keziah received. That's the description that Officer Keziah heard. And that's the description that Officer Keziah sent out to dispatch. White male, black shirt, tan pants. Let's look back at this person who Officer Keziah says fits the description.
I am responding to somebody with a firearm who matches your description. You understand that? Come here.
I got my hands up, man. Take the gun off. For real, I got my hands up.
Where's your idea? No, you don't get to tell me what to do. Where's your idea?
Take the gun off me, man.
No.
Where your supervisor at? You gonna shoot?
It's Officer Keziah's refusal to remove his gun from this person who is clearly not the suspect that he's seeking that is the most troubling here. So let's talk about the legality at this point in time. When the officer arrives, he is given reasonable articulable suspicion that criminal activity is afoot. So he can stop an individual who matches the description that he's given. However, if this person does not match the description that he's been given, he no longer has any reasonable articulable suspicion that this particular person has committed the crime. So in order for you to detain somebody on the basis of reasonable articulable suspicion, it needs to be not only that criminal activity has occurred, but that this person has committed the criminal activity. Clearly, this is not the person that he's looking for. And any suspicion should be allayed by the fact that the person says that they work there. He has no basis or grounds to hold this man, and certainly no basis or grounds to hold this person at gunpoint, which is very dangerous. Upon receiving the information that this is not the person that you're looking for, it doesn't even match the description.
Shoot me?
No.
Another person on your knees?
Get on your knees.
I didn't do nothing.
Shut the with that on your knees.
All right.
Also, Officer Keziah's demeanor and way of speaking to this individual, this man, is completely demeaning and deprecating for absolutely no reason. He came into the scene pretty hot, and I gave him some leeway there. If you heard, he was yelling at the manager, come on, hurry up, to give him the description, and that's understandable. You having a call for an individual with a gun can be very dangerous. That does require, heightened vigilance. But once you're interacting with this individual who is clearly not the person that you're looking for, he has the right to say, are you going to make me another statistic? Am I going to be another person that ends up on the news? Do you want to be another person who ends up on the news? Telling him to shut the F up with that S in no way allays anyone's suspicions or fears that his actions are racially motivated, and if not that, at least not justified by the law.
I didn't do nothing to you. Remember this. I need your badge number in your name.
You'll get everything you need.
Yeah,
Put everything on the
I
ground.
didn't do nothing to you. I got my hands up and I work here. Go call the manager.
41, where are my other units at?
Officer Keziah is now going to confirm that the individual that he has at gunpoint actually works there.
Just hang tight, okay?
But this ain't. I work here. All you gotta do is call the manager and take the.
Who's your manager? Stop. Okay, what is your name? 41, can we get somebody to get the complainant on the line and find out if there's an employee here by the name of...
You don't got to hold no gun. My hands are up. I'm not a threat to you.
Are you a cop?
I'm not a threat to you.
Are you a cop?
I'm not a threat to you.
If Officer Keziah's true concern was figuring out who the person is who's brandishing a weapon inside of this hotel, he certainly would not need to engage with this colloquy with this alleged suspect, who's not really a suspect, with this victim, basically. He seems to be very combative and very angry that this person has the nerve to tell him that he is endangering his life and holding him at gunpoint for no reason. And it's very clear that it is without any reason. Not only does his clothing not match the description, his skin doesn't match the description.
You don't tell me what a threat to me is. You don't know.
Just because you're a cop don't mean you can hold a gun at somebody whenever you get good and damn ready. I put my hands up and
When I'm responding to somebody with a firearm, I can do what I need to stay safe and go home to my family.
That is not true. Just because you're responding to somebody with a firearm does not mean that you have the right to indiscriminately hold people at gunpoint. He had the ability to discriminate between who was a suspect and who was not when he approached the first two individuals that were standing outside near the exit that he was looking for. It was a man and a woman, right? He wasn't looking for a man and a woman. He was only looking for a man. They were white people. He knew that he was looking for white people, but that gentleman was not wearing the type of clothing, which was a black shirt and tan pants, that he was looking for. That gentleman was wearing shorts and he was wearing a red shirt. So clearly he doesn't match the description. He was able to see past his biases in order to eliminate these people as potential suspects. But his biases have him so caught up that he cannot see past the fact that this man clearly does not match the description of who he's looking for. And once this individual doesn't match the description, you no longer have reasonable articulable suspicion that criminal activity is afoot and that this person is committing that crime in order for you to hold him. I mean, at this point, he is almost effectuating an arrest because this man is clearly not free to leave. Also, he has the right to want to go home to his family, but so does everyone else. People that aren't engaging in criminal activity, that are general members of the public, do expect that at the end of the day, working in restaurants, working in hotels, they'll be able to go home and they won't be killed just because they had the misfortune of coming across a police officer.
I have somebody on the phone right now trying to confirm if you're an employee or not. As soon as I verify that, you can go, and then you can get whatever information you need. Do you understand that?
It's crazy, huh? Hey, can you record this? He steadily got his gun on me and I got my hands up.
I'm recording too.
And I got my hands up. I know I work here, but he steadily got his gun.
That's fine, just stay back.
Hey.
Now, this officer, Keziah, has been informed by a civilian that the man in the hotel uniform works there, and he still continues to hold the civilian at gunpoint.
Record this, man. For real. I got my hands up on the ground. He still got a gun pointed on me. And my knees hurt, man. Burns.
41, anybody on the line yet?
Anybody come up?
Did he verify that somebody by the name of works here?
Just dressed like this for no reason?
And that's another thing that I pointed out before, but he makes very clear. He is wearing his work uniform. It's clear that he works there.
Get out of here.
Yeah, thanks.
You can stand by in the lobby. If you need all my information, I'll be more than happy to give it to you. Have a great afternoon.
Telling someone to have a great afternoon after you've just unjustly, without reasonable articulable suspicion, not even that lowest standard, held someone at gunpoint is the height of sarcasm. He is not actually being friendly in that particular moment. If you think that it was bad, it only gets worse.
Hey, if we on the line, can you give me any more intel on if this guy exited yet or not?
I want to be very, very clear. While he's clearing this person that doesn't match the suspect, the actual suspect with a gun is still out there.
Stop right there. I've got another one to come.
Now another individual comes out on a bicycle and Officer Keziah approaches him.
Out of here now! I've got one fleeing back inside.
This person gets away.
Hispanic or white male, approximately 30 years old, black bandana, white t-shirt, gray shorts.
Hispanic or white.
Stop right there. Where did he go?
If he did fit the description, then you let him get away. This is bad police work all around.
Where the did he go?
I ain't got nothing to do with that.
Where is he?
That ain't got nothing to do with me.
No.
So why are you talking to me like that?
Get the out of the way.
I'm not.
Go.
Way.
Okay, go. Now.
This person actually wasn't in the way. The officer could have gone around him in order to chase this alleged suspect, who again got away if he was the person that had the gun on him. Officer Kazaya's demeanor, way of speaking to people, I understand that it's a very heightened circumstance, also exemplifies that he may not be the best person for the job.
I'm just inside the west entrance. I don't know where the he went. He's good. Get him out. Where did he go? The guy with the gun. Where the hell did he go?
He walked outside.
So you allowed the guy with the gun to get away. You just heard he walked outside. You allowed the guy with the gun to get away while you held the black man at gunpoint.
Get off the air. 41. Sean just told me that he went back inside. He may have popped out the main entrance. Just sit up.
So the person that told him that he went outside, that was the manager that was watching the cameras.
Dude, which way did he go?
I told you. And why do you have my employee a black male at gunpoint? He's clearly not white.
The manager just said, "Why do you have my employee, a black male, at gunpoint? He's clearly not white." Instead of speaking to him, this officer who's on body camera leaves so that this interaction can no longer be filmed.
41. Somebody
Clearly now backup has finally arrived.
else go talk.
Officer Kazaya, who realizes that he's in a lot of trouble, said, "Someone else go talk to them." The key witness in the case when he's the initial responding officer and should be interviewing the witnesses.
He doesn't know.
He did know which way he went. He told you he went that way, but you let him get away because you were holding the black man at gunpoint. I am almost positive that the person on the bicycle is the suspect that he was looking for. He took off, he left his bicycle there, and then he went out the other way.
The manager is explaining that he may have fled out the east entrance now, but he doesn't. I was unable to acquire that information from the manager.
He was unable to acquire that information from the manager because he left and wouldn't talk to the manager anymore because he knows that he wrongfully detained a black man when the suspect was a white man. There's one more thing that happens in this video that I want you guys to pay attention to. Right there, Officer Kazaya is putting his hand over his body camera. So he is attempting to mute his body camera or turn his body camera off, even though this is still an active investigation and an active crime scene. I want you to continue to watch this.
All right. My camera can't go on mute, so I'm going to turn it off.
Officer Kazaya is speaking to, I think, his commanding officer, his supervisor in the field, and says to his commanding officer, "I can't mute my camera, so I'm going to turn it off." He's about to give his report of what just happened. He seriously bungled this situation. But why is Officer Kazaya able to either attempt to mute or completely turn off his camera in the midst of a criminal investigation, an active crime scene? He should be capturing everything that's going on. He also left the lobby where they were telling him, "You held the wrong person at gunpoint," so that wouldn't also be picked up on his body camera, and sent another officer in to go talk to him. So I'm very concerned that policy-wise, office-wide wise, Officer Kazaya was allowed to try and cover up the evidence of his misconduct. The person that Officer Kazaya held at gunpoint is Trevanye Kumpian. In December of 2020, December 10th exactly, the Tempe City Council voted to approve a $300,000 settlement for Mr. Kumpian in response to Officer Krasaya's conduct. However, Mr. Krasaya is still employed at the Tempe City Police Department, where he is now on administrative duty for 1 year. If any of you have any doubt that Officer Krasaya's conduct was racially motivated, Officer Krasaya has also come under scrutiny because in July of 2019, Officer Krasaya tased a black man in his home who was unarmed and holding his child. There's also body camera footage of that.
Hey, what's happening, man? Okay, well, that's not what I'm being told, so I don't care if it's your house or not. Put your hands behind your back. Come here. Hey, come here. Bro, you're not allowed in here.
So let's just back this up. Officer Krasaya, Tempe Police, was called to the home of Yvonne Okri on June 15th of 2019 after reports of a man and a woman fighting inside. When he responds to the residents, there's no noise going on. Nothing is happening. There weren't reports of a gunshot. There was reports of fighting inside, an argument inside. Officer Krasaya then made entrance into Mr. Okri's home. In order to make entrance into someone's home without a warrant, the police need exigent circumstances. Exigent circumstances would mean that someone is yelling inside, "Help, help! He's got a gun, he's got a knife." You cannot just enter into someone's home unless you have exigent circumstances. If Officer Krasaya had any concern about whether or not anyone inside the home was hurt, he could have secured the premises by standing in front of the door, radioing out to dispatch, and requesting a warrant. He wouldn't have gotten a warrant because there was no probable cause to enter the home. He certainly did not have probable cause to arrest, which is a higher level above reasonable articulable suspicion. And when he came there, he immediately placed this individual under arrest after just receiving a phone call of a man and a woman fighting. The Supreme Court of the United States has interpreted the Fourth Amendment of the United States Constitution to require officers to obtain a search warrant in order to enter a home. However, there are some exceptions to the search warrant requirement, one of those exceptions being exigent circumstances. If you guys look to the Supreme Court case of Missouri v. McNeely, which is found at 569 U.S. 141, that is a 2013 case, the court gave several examples of what they mean by exigent circumstances. So, for example, there is an emergency aid exception to the requirement, where the Supreme Court held that law enforcement officers may enter a home without a warrant to render emergency assistance to an injured occupant or to protect an occupant from imminent injury. There is also obviously a fire exception to the warrant requirement, where the Supreme Court held that a burning building clearly presents an exigency of sufficient proportions to render a warrantless entry reasonable. And there is a hot pursuit exception to the warrant requirement as well, where the Supreme Court recognized the right of police who had probable cause to believe that an armed robber had entered a house a few minutes before to make a warrantless entry to arrest the robber and to search for weapons. In each of those cases, the Supreme Court has found that exigent circumstances exist. However, the Supreme Court has also admonished police officers that they cannot be the ones to create the exigent circumstances. If we look to the Supreme Court case of Kentucky v. King, which is a 2011 case, the site there is 563 U.S. 452. The Supreme Court found that under the police-created exigency doctrine, which lower courts have developed as an exception to the exigent circumstances rule, exigent circumstances do not justify a warrantless search when the exigency was created or manufactured by the conduct of the police. Just because someone is having an argument inside their home doesn't mean that you get to just come and arrest them. In my jurisdiction, they can't even arrest for an assault unless the officer sees the assault or there are apparent injuries. But this being Arizona, he at least has not seen an assault, there are no injuries, and he does not hear any argument going on. He has no reason to place this man under arrest or to enter his home without a warrant. And to be clear, the Arizona does allow for warrantless arrest for misdemeanors where the officer has probable cause that the crime has been committed and probable cause that that person has committed the crime. The officer does not have probable cause that a crime has been committed, but let's say even that he did, he has no probable cause that this particular man did anything wrong.
Okay, well, that's not what I'm being told, so I don't care if it's your house or not. Put your hands behind your back. Come here. Hey, come here. Bro, you're not allowed in here. Put your hands behind your back. Bro, you take one of taser, bro.
There is a child walking around in the house, and he pulls his taser as he is illegally in this person's house.
Put your hands behind your back, sir. Put your hands behind your back.
There are multiple children.
Put your hands on top of your head.
The amount of trauma that he's doing to these children because he's allegedly community caretaking is completely disproportionate to the call that he was receiving, which was a man and a woman fighting. You don't even see a woman in there.
Put your hands behind your back. Put your hands on top of your head. Go get tased. Put your hands on top of your head.
As you can see, one of the babies are in diapers and runs to her father, and he picks his child up. At this point in time, Officer Keziah calls for backup. This gentleman is clearly unarmed.
Your hands on top of your head. Do it now. Put your chin down.
Officer Keziah is illegally in this man's home. I want to make that very, very clear. And his commands for him to put his hands on top of his head are also illegal.
Put your hands on top of your head. This is really simple, my man. It's not simple.
The female officer, that's, if you see her body language, she is putting her hands towards Officer Keziah in a warding off or calming down motion. Let me show you that again. Right here. Keep your eyes on the female officer.
Simple, my man. It's not simple. Do it. No, that's not how this works. You call this out here.
The woman in the house said, "Nothing happened. Nothing happened." Officer Keziah, still seeking to escalate the situation, said that's not how it works. You get a call for a man and a woman fighting. You go out. Your suspicions are allayed by the fact that there is no fighting when you arrive, and the alleged victims have said that there's nothing going on and they don't want you there, and you've made illegal entry into their home. There are so many layers of what's wrong with this.
Things change. You need to get out of the apartment now. Get out of the apartment right now. Get out of the apartment.
He's ordering people out of their apartment with their minor children inside of the apartment. He has, again, none of these officers have any right to be inside the home. They have not been allowed into the home. Just because you call 911 or a neighbor calls 911 doesn't mean that they have the right to come into your home. Again, had they heard help, help inside, that would have created exigent circumstances. Had they seen him beating on her, had they seen, a gun or something open and that they could obviously see some type of weapon that could harm someone, all of these things might have created plain view or exigent circumstances, which are exceptions to the warrant rule. But he didn't see any of those things, and he had the ability to secure the premises, did not secure the premises to obtain a warrant, and went into these people's home, and now has pulled a taser on this man and traumatized these children.
Please. No. You guys are in my house. I don't like it. Don't me low. If I drop my son, you need to drop the kid. I don't want your baby to get hurt. Don't touch me. Stop the kid. Stop touching me.
Do it. And did you hear what he just said after he's tased this man and patted the other officer on the back? Let's play that again. Got one. Got him. Got one. Got him. As if this is a sport. Now, Mr. Okri, the gentleman and the man in that case who was tased by the police, was arrested and charged with assault and child endangerment. But his attorney told the Washington Post that both charges were dropped by the Tempe City Prosecutor's Office because clearly he had not committed those crimes. Tempe police, however, did blame Mr. Okri for holding his son when the police told him to drop his son. I will say this, if the police are telling me they're gonna tase me and to drop my son, I'm gonna drop my son, all right? And you guys know I try to be as fair as possible when it comes to these things. But let me also tell you this, Officer Keziah was illegally in that man's house. His order for the man to drop his son was illegal. And the tasing was illegal. And had they dealt with that back in 2019 and punished him then, maybe he wouldn't have been holding a gun on an innocent man in December of 2020. Okay? You guys can go and look at all of my videos that I post here. When it comes to the cops doing bad things, I'm real about it. When it comes to the cops being right, I'm real about it. When it comes to civilians being wrong, I'm real about that. When it comes to lawyers being wrong, I'm real about that. And I'm being real about this. In both instances, Officer Keziah violated the Constitution. Keziah received retraining in 2019, even though they found that he didn't do anything wrong because they blamed the father for holding his son, even though Keziah was illegally in his home and illegally tased him. Whether or not he was holding his son, he had no reason to do what he did. And then secondly, he was placed on this administrative leave and then some type of brief unpaid suspension. But now he gets to have desk duty, basically, right? And he gets paid. So he's being paid to sit on his behind after pulling a gun on an unarmed man and tasing a man holding his son. There was no reason for him to tase that man. None whatsoever. Officer Keziah is gonna get the Tempe Police Department in a lot of trouble. His supervisor in the hotel event was also placed on suspension and retrained because they found that his supervisor did not advise Keziah appropriately. They have never apprehended the man who actually did flash the gun at the hotel employees. So not only is he not good at apprehending suspects, he's also a racial profiler. And there's no other way to put it. He has now cost the city of Tempe, the taxpayers, $300,000, which have been paid to the hotel employee. We have to know when right is right and when wrong is wrong. We're all human beings in this system. I'm a member of this system myself as an attorney. And we have to know when we're right and we have to know when we're wrong. Officer Keziah and the Tempe Police Department, in my opinion, in my professional and personal opinion, is dead wrong. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.